Hello and welcome. Feels like the weekend. Why? Because it's a double header. Haven't had a midweek double header in 7 years or something now. But hey, this is a good time to have one because these are strange times, these are scary times, and if anything can keep us at home, can keep us distracted, it can keep our mind feeling positive. It's always sport. And if that's happening midweek, hey, we'll take it. We'll take it with both hands wide open. All right, I'm Gaurav Kapur. You're watching Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11th Circle. We've got making his debut today, Pommie Mbangwa in prison somewhere in quarantine, the secret location in India. Let me guess. Are you in Chennai? Mumbai, Chennai? It's only two places where the games are happening. So.
I'm in the capital.
Financial capital?
Correct.
That's the one. Yes. It's
I live in a financial capital as well, and I often say that.
That is true. You're the financial capital. That's right.
Yeah. Nice to be back. I was very surprised that you actually can distinguish between like weekdays and weekends. I long given up on that when it's IPL. It's just another day, game day or not a game day. You know, every day is a game day, so every day is a weekend. Nice.
Yeah, but it's a valid point. But the fact is that you're an energetic, youthful person. When you're a lazy old person like me, you go like, "Oh, Wednesday? I thought I was only working a few hours."
Thank you.
What, double? That's why. It's not the calendar that tells me, it's the back. It's the L4 and L5 that tell me that it's.
Wow.
We just had it 3 days ago. It's come again. Yeah, but we're happy that it has. We have Joy Bhattacharjya joining us, of course, from Gurugram, Gudgaon, the good village, the Jaggery village. How are you, sir?
Good. Anyone who can talk about cricket and do work and talk about cricket from their homes in these times is very, very lucky. Absolutely. I just consider myself very lucky.
Absolutely. Even though you're a Kolkata fan, do you still feel the same
way? That was unnecessary. We've got a long day ahead of us. 8 hours of shows ahead of us. Yeah. That was very early. It was unnecessary.
It's good to set the tone right up front so people realize that everything I say is unnecessary. So just so that they know right from the beginning. What is that?
Red card.
Not even a yellow. What are you, part of the Super
red.
League? Are you making up your own rules now?
Yeah, straight red.
Who are you, JP Morgan?
In fact, I'm the fans.
All right, so he's just red-carded JP Morgan normally. All right, let's have a look at the two games that are coming up today. There's no red here. It's all green. Charge. Let's go. It's Punjab playing Hyderabad. Both teams need a win really badly. One a little more than the other. Of course, I'm talking about the Hyderabad team, and that's in Chennai. And then the action will move to Mumbai, where Kolkata will be taking on, can we call them a resurgent Chennai? I guess so. I mean, if you, not just the last few games, but if you see the last season and then this one, you can definitely say, Pommie, your impressions on what Chennai is, because we spoke so much about them in the 2020 season, in Dad's Army. Are they a spent force? Do they leave it too late? Yada, yada, yada. They're out the blocks good this season, aren't they?
They are. I think they needed to be, actually. And despite what people might say about, Dad's Army, this, that, and the other, what they do have is quite a nice balance, I think. If you look at their side, and yes, you might look and say, oh, you could choose different personnel, but that's the personnel they have, and their balance is quite nice. I think if they get going as they've done this way, then they might be difficult to stop. I don't think they are the champion side. No, I think they have to try and reestablish that title or make a claim for it once again in terms of being one of the ones that will kind of definitely be in the top four.
That's a great point, actually, Pommie, because what Pommie means by champion side is there's just some teams that come in just as strong favorites and, they'll play at 75% and they'll still run the other team close and some days even win. And we've seen that with Mumbai. But Joy, teams that are not traditionally those champion sides on paper or on field, they are the ones who have to hustle then to become favorites, right? And if it comes to hustle, geez, the guy knows how to hustle, right?
No, he knows how to hustle, and I think it's good for him because he's in a very unfamiliar position out here. Chennai has never in their lives played the underdog. Never. They've always been Boss, we reached the finals. Firstly, you write down Chennai in the name for the finals, then you write down the other team's name.
Yeah.
And because that's exactly what they used to be, remarkably consistent. So what this has done, and I think it's interesting because what it's done is it's freed up Dhoni.
Yeah.
They've done it. They've had that big crash, man. What's the worst that could happen to Chennai has happened to Chennai. They've crashed and burnt and not just crashed and burnt in a very unseemly way. Their top order hasn't fired. Top player has been sent home. It looked a complete mess. So, in a way, it has freed this team completely. They're unshackled now. Nobody has any expectations out of them. They're coming from nowhere. And they're saying, hey, you know what? We're old. Nobody really cares about us. Delhi and Mumbai are the guys they're talking about. Hey, we could sneak in and surprise a few people. And I think they're playing with much more freedom as a result.
Yeah, and Pommie, then when you look at the other side at Kolkata, we always talk about the Knight Riders and saying that their 4-5-6 is very strong. And, you've got Morgan, Russell, Karthik. But they need more from 1-2-3, a little more experience, a little more contribution. This season, they've turned it around. 1-2-3 is doing their job and looking back in 4-5-6 and saying, legends.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I like their side. I generally do. And every season I think the same thing. I think, will they get it? Will they get it okay? Will they sort it out in terms of managing to get out the blocks? And if it's not the batting that's not getting out the blocks, the bowling doesn't get out the blocks. If it's not the combination of the bowling they haven't got right, it's the combination of the batting they haven't got right. And I think this happens season after season. They generally look okay. And that's true. They generally look okay. But can they sort themselves out in time and get into some sort of groove? That's the question. And it'll be the question we'll be asking sort of all the way till probably halfway into the games that they play.
They've got great soloists, but somehow that symphony is just eluding them. It's just not. That's the sweet music of victory is just not coming. Can it be today? Can Morgan do what Dhoni does for his team? Can he be that talismanic leader? Can he just marshal the troops, get the best out of them? And beating a team like Chennai, and of course playing in Mumbai, it's a ground that does not have good memories for Kolkata, Joy. There's the one win in, the last 9 games, 9 years or something in Wankhede. And that we know that one win, we won't talk about the day. It's immortalized for something else than the cricket. But that, and I guess if we just take away the scandal from that incident, I guess it also is what it meant, right? For Kolkata, Wankhede just means something. It's this demon that has to be conquered.
A, Wankhede means something. B is that till 2012, Dhoni meant something as well. Dhoni and Chennai meant something as well. They were very tough team to beat and traditionally have been very tough to beat. And it's one of those things. See, I believe, again, that Kolkata is, one of those teams where, you're having bowlers and you're saying, you know what, Harbhajan's bowling decently. But if you look at his analysis, it's not bearing it out. Prasidh Krishna is bowling 2 or 3 wicket-taking balls in every spell that he's bowling. But he's going for 9 and 10. See, what they're not doing is they're not really taking care of business. They're having good individual moments, but it's not all coming together. And I'll give you a great tennis analogy. There was one, I think it was Wimbledon. No, it was a French Open, which I think went somewhere like this. Mats Wilander was playing and he won it. And he lost 2 sets, 6-0, 6-3, and won 3 sets, 7-6, 7-6, 7-6. So it was like, you know what? The sets that he needed to get across, he just managed to get across. The ones which he got smashed, he got smashed. It didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you win a set or you lose a set. So Kolkata is just, you look at one of those games and say that, Mumbai, they should have won that game. They should have got across the line. They should have made a 7-6 out there. Yeah. Instead, they got this thing. And when they get hammered, even if they hammer the other team, it doesn't matter. It's 1 win. It's 2 points. Run rate comes in much later.
For Hyderabad, let's focus now on the first game. The reason why we started talking about the second game is because with these shambolic over rates, the games are just spilling so much. You won't get to talk about the second game at all. And for the first game, I guess, Pommie, you can't blame them. It's Chennai. It's a day game in Chennai. It's hot. They can take a little extra time in this one. It's fine, right? It's okay.
Well, yes and no.
Please speak as a fast bowler first.
I say yes and no because I think it's understandable sometimes, but I think it's become too much of a habit. Whether you're talking, IPL, whether it's all domestic stuff or international stuff, it seems nobody cares about getting through the overs. They just bowl and take their time, and we end up sitting there for 5 hours, and it's a 2020 game. It shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. They should get through it. And how many? Each side has got 2 spinners minimum. So no excuses. They should get through it, I think, anyway.
Well, so today is an afternoon game, and Punjab has decided to win the toss and bat first. Well, they didn't decide to win the toss. They decided to bat first after they won the toss. Let me just be grammatically correct about that. But Joy, no surprise that Punjab's batting first here?
No. This Chennai is a very established surface now. They're going to bat first because even the dew is now negated. If you're playing afternoon game, the dew is also negated. The only thing is, I heard that, I hope Rifle is not the umpire out here, is he? Because I heard that the last time they played Chennai, he could take out, during the drinks break, he took out a frying pan and quickly put it on the ground, and he got a fried egg and this thing on the ground. Because
it's the strategic timeout.
It's that hot out there. It is unbelievably hot out there.
It's that hot. It's that hot. He got that hungry that he wanted an egg, right?
In fact, I think in the second strategic timeout, he was manning a live omelette station right there for the players. Drinks break? No, breakfast break. Come on, everybody now. Pommie, Hyderabad is looking at this surface and going, chase again. No, please. No, please.
I tweeted the other day. I said they need Big Daddy Kane. They just do. He needs to get fit. It's a perpetual subject when it comes to them. When
He's here.
Yeah, there you go.
He's here.
That's good.
Carry on, please. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Because it balances their side out. And 2020 is supposed to be this game where these guys who can whack it and, $1 million player, $2 million players, whatever you want to call them, but they can smash it out the ground, crash, bang, wallop. And so people tend to go for those guys. And I think Sunrisers have made that error before. This time, admittedly, it's not an error. It's a case of a guy being injured and then waiting for him to get fit to then come into the side. He is a hole that's difficult for them to plug because he kind of is a link man, if I can use it that way.
Nice.
If he comes in early, he's able to find the gaps in his own style and way. And if he comes in later and has to do that critical job that number 5s and 6s have to do in terms of chasing, he's also able to calculate and work out and has the skills to get a side over the line, even though chasers get quite difficult. So he's an important man in their side, and he is one of those, particularly with the record of chasing that they have, that has to be the first on the list. I know Warner goes on the list, and you think Warner and Rashid, and then you think, well, Bairstow's got to be in the all. But tell you what, for chasing, Kane Williamson, put him in there because you don't want scenarios where you're having collapse after collapse after collapse when you can see the finishing line, and it's happening all too regularly for them.
Yeah, his problem was the tendon in the elbow, and that seems to be sorted, and he's here. And we've cried ourselves hoarse about Kane Williamson being such an integral part of the Sunrisers lineup. So you've seen what has happened. You've seen the collapses that have happened in their chases, games that they should have had in the bag, and they just haven't had anyone to maneuver it in the middle. We saw that maneuvering from Shikhar Dhawan yesterday, right? You thought you'd see it from Steve Smith. You saw it a bit, but in the end, it was the maneuvering from Shikhar Dhawan that got them to a really, you think it's a tricky total 138 to get to win, but that's what you got to do on this pitch. And today, they're chasing the Sunrisers, but Kane Williamson is in the team. But I'll tell you what, gentlemen, I'll tell you what's going on. Both teams, you can tell, Hyderabad they made 4 changes in the last game. They'll obviously make one when Kane is here, but they've made more changes as well. Punjab has made some drastic changes as well. I hear that both teams have made 3 changes each. Now, I'm just saying, right, and Joy and me discussed this yesterday, Pommie, is that when the 4 changes were made by Hyderabad in the previous game, Joy, Michael, Vaughan, and me were here, all fell off our chair because 4 changes after 2 games means a change in thought process and philosophy after 2 games. Would you agree with prognosis?
I 100% agree.
You concur.
I concur. how many changes can you make is the question, right? And and you're not going to make 6. I mean, 4 is the maximum you can make generally. And so if you're making maximum changes after 1 or 2 games, if people aren't injured or recovering from injury, then it's a bit of confusion, isn't it? We got this totally wrong. Let's start again. That's basically what's happening.
But Joy, we were talking about Kedar Jadhav, and he could they have that experience sitting there on the bench, and they've decided to play him today. So, I mean, that's a change we could get behind.
Yeah, 2 things. One is that they looked at Riyan Parag bowling and they said that if that guy can bowl at that angle, why is Kedar Yadav sitting on our bench? He can do it better than anyone else. I mean, he can sweep it under the table, literally. But the other thing is very interesting is that Chris Gayle is not playing, and I believe he's got something in his contract. It's called a no 3:30 p.m. game. For
1 second, let me just check. If that's true. I think he is
100%. It's in the contract, guys. You haven't seen it. Chris Gayle in an afternoon game in Chennai. You've got to be joking.
I think they've got him an umbrella and a spot boy. Right, a guy to walk around behind the umbrella, and I think they may. We're just going to get the teams up for you in just a second. So they'll be here for you. Okay, Chris Gayle is playing. That is confirmed. Yes, he is playing. So I think they've done it. They managed to either fit him with a tiny air conditioner in his shirt, or under his hat, or maybe a guy with an umbrella. But they've managed to get him to play. But that just also, Pommie, is also one. We're discussing this a lot about Punjab. In T20 cricket, it's very difficult to play with a team where the batters don't bowl and the bowlers don't bat.
Yeah, and that's why I talk about balance. When we talked about Chennai, I spoke about balance. Because you see the number of all-rounders that they have lying around there. For Punjab, I think there's a reliance on players, and unfortunately, and those top 2 have done it for them for so long, and then they kind of, with Gayle in as well, decided, okay, he must come in at number 3. It is such that, their success and failure is dependent on what happens between those 2 up there, unfortunately. And at this moment in time, whilst KL is in some decent form, he can't face 51 balls and strike at 120. Not in this format as it is these days. If we wind the clock back 5 years, his job would have been well done. But now, you can't do that. It's just, no matter where else you look in that game, that's the only place you're going to look at and say, that's where the game is lost. Because you have to, if you face 50 balls, you have to strike 135 or 140. It's as a minimum, not as a, you've played well, minimum.
Yeah, we've got the Punjab team ready, and they made the changes. Jalat Saxena, who had played the previous game, I guess they were looking at that little all-round option, but he's out. And Murugan Ashwin is back in, so just makes you wonder why they sat him out that one game, because he's a quality leg spinner, so he's there. They have decided to drop both Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith. They've got Fabian Allen and Moses Enriquez. So this is what we're talking about in terms of Joy, in terms of balance, in terms of all-round options. They've lengthened their batting, and they've got a lot more spin for the Chennai surface.
Exactly, they had to do that. We knew Moses Enriquez would play at some point in time because they needed an all-rounder who would give them a couple of overs. Now it's even more compounded because they feel that their Australian fast bowlers are not giving them enough. So they're saying, if they're not giving us enough, I might as well get my good Indian spinner in, lengthen my batting. And, Fabian Allen is also a gun fielder. He gives you something in all 3 aspects of the game. And say that, okay, but my only problem is it's a radical change from what they were thinking up front. It's a very, very radical change. And these are, again, Punjab is in that dangerous territory where they're tinkering still. Yeah. And there's so much tinkering, I feel, is never good for the team. So I'm a bit skeptical about it. I mean, I can get behind Enriquez replacing one of the Australian fast bowlers. I can get behind that and say, okay, here's an all-rounder coming in to replace just a fast bowler. But after that, 2 changes, mixing it around again, I don't know. And why play Jalat for one game if you're not going to play him? A lot of it I don't understand.
It's just look at their bowling once again. It's just going to look at Punjab once again because of the changes they've made. They obviously have Arshdeep, who's been bowling well. They have Mohammad Shami, gun Indian bowler. Then they have Murugan Ashwin, Fabian Allen. I mean, that's 4 proper bowlers, Pommie. I mean, are you looking at Moses Enriquez in your mind, in your book? Is he a 4-over proper bowler? Or are you dividing it between him and Huda then?
I think you have to pick each one as a 4-over bowler and then go according to what happens on the day. Form, someone gets a hold of him, that sort of thing. And also how the surface generally plays on the day. And you know it's going to spin. You generally think it's going to spin. Moses Enriquez might turn up and, bowl good cutters and so forth. So you might have him bowl all 4 because he's going well. But I think each one you pick, you've got to pick with a mind that he's going to bowl you 4 overs. Because if you pick some guys thinking 2 from him and 2 from there, what happens if the one goes? Do you bowl the other one? Do you not? What happens if both of them go off their first ones? Do you know what I mean? So I think in terms of trying to balance, I think Fabian Allen can also bowl some offies. If my memory serves me correct, he can bowl some offies. So he gives you that option as well. I think in essence, what they're trying to do is just try and find some sort of balance. I believe they are a tinkering side. I think they're a side that generally kind of search rather than back some guys and go with them, particularly when it comes to those all-rounders and fast bowlers. I don't think they know who it is who will play for them and have them sort of banked as these are our guys. We saw it last year as well. I think it was Neesham and
Chris Jordan.
Jordan.
Yep. Jordan will come this season. He'll come. You'll see him.
They'll just get swapping them around. Like you play one game, gone, out. Play the next one. No, not you. Next one. That's what they do. And I don't. And it didn't help last year that they would do what you were saying about Mansfield. And instead of losing 6-0, they would lose 6-7. And they think, by and large, we're okay. Maybe in the next set. And yet when they go to the next set, they change the team. You say, hold on, you thought you were okay, and you've changed it, not where you lost it, where the guy hit it to the man at mid-wicket, a full toss off the last few balls or whatever, and then you lost by 5 runs. You change it in the bowling. So, where are you going?
You're so right. They're still doing it. What have they done today if you look at it? They have extended their batting, right? So obviously you can tell that that's the concern for the captain and coach. They've extended the batting, but I'm still not sure that they have the bowling options that Rahul would want as a bowling captain, Joy. Remember, you've got Shah Rukh now to come at 7. So one of either Huda or Enriquez or Shah Rukh will play at 7, right? Which is whoever plays at 7 is playing a position below where they should be playing, right? So which means you've lengthened your batting. Fabian Allen can, of course, stonk the ball as well. But with your bowling, again, if one bowler has a bad day, again, Rahul really has nowhere to go. It is a problem.
So, no, he's actually, if I look at it, he's got 3 part-time bowlers, out of which he's got to get out 4 overs. Or 4 part-time bowlers in which he's got to get out to 8 overs. Basically, because Shah Rukh Khan can also bowl. Yeah. Shah Rukh Khan can bowl. Shah Rukh Khan has played the Chepauk, knows the pitch a bit. So, Shah Rukh Khan is somebody who knows how to bowl. And remember, Lalit Yadav, they just watched Lalit Yadav do well. Off he was a bit tall, who just puts it down there a bit on the deck. So they might throw in Shah Rukh for an over. They might throw in Fabian Allen for an over. They just try and see how they can complete those 8 overs out of those 4 bowlers. And they'll pray that Shami, Arshdeep and Murugan Ashwin can bowl their quota. I think Ashwin will definitely bowl his quota. Shami will bowl his quota. But if Arshdeep goes, then how do they change it around? It's a bit of they're throwing things in the wind and hoping something sticks.
Yeah, and Chennai is the kind of surface where the new ball can get punished. And when it comes to punishing, Hyderabad's got a little bit of punishing power at the top, right? Let's have a look at their team because they've made 3 changes as well. Of course, Kane Williamson comes in. Now, the big news here is that there's no Manish Pandey, right? So they have decided to go with Virat Singh, right? But no Manish Pandey. Vijay Shankar, Abhishek Sharma still there. Abdul Samad, I hear, is injured, which is why he's not there. Kedar Jadhav gets slotted in at 7. So I guess that's their backstop, right? That's their, they're saying that, all right, if you got Jason Holder or Mohammad Nabi, we can throw in Kedar Jadhav, and Kedar, you've got to give us 2 overs. And that's what we were probably expecting from Holder, maybe 3 there. Jadhav, you've got to give that to us, but you've got to be our backstop at number 7. Rashid, Bhuvi, Sid Kaul is the other change that they make. He comes in place of, who's he coming in place of?
Shahbaz Nadeem.
Shahbaz. No. Shahbaz Nadeem was dropped in the last game. See, they made so many changes, we got completely confused. And there's Khalil Ahmed over there. So, yeah, there you go. What's happening with their bowling? Mujib, sorry, even Mujib is not there, right?
Mujib,
so let's have a look at their proper bowling options as well now, right? You've got Khalil, Sid Kaul, Bhuvi, Rashid, who are, I call them by trade bowlers, right? And then you're looking at 4 coming from Vijay Shankar, Kedar Jadhav, and perhaps Abhishek Sharma. And Williamson as well. So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at... It's more options here. You're still seeing more options here than for the other team.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the thing. So in looking at the bowling of Hyderabad, let's understand that they're a bowling team. That's what they are. So if you were to set up a game for Sunrisers Hyderabad, you'd have Warner and Besto go in first, bat first, and look to try and defend a score. That's what they do. And so how do they do it? They do it with their bowling. They generally do. Bhuvi is going for more than he goes for normally. But in saying that, their games haven't been games where they can say the bowling has let them down. They can't say that. So as a bowling group in general, they've gone okay. They haven't quite brought it home, but it's not really been their fault. It's been the batting fault, right? Mm-hmm. So in terms of options, they've got so many to play. I think bringing Siddharth Kaul in, I hope, is in decent form. But what he does bring you is he doesn't necessarily have to bowl up front. And if he does have to because someone goes, he will. But he bowls at the back end, loves the pressure at the back end, and can do a very good job at the back end. The leader of the pack in Bhuvi will bowl you 2 up at the front and will bowl you 2 at the back. Khalil, very good left armer, up at the front. If there's anything in there, he's going to be trying to get you wickets up at the front, so you're going well. Then the game breaker, wherever you want to slot him in ones, whether it's 1 up at the front, 1 in the middle, 1 towards the back end, and 1 right at the back, you can do that. Or if you're just turning the screw and you come in straight after the 6 and try and break the game open that way and have him bowl 2 or 3 there, you can do that with Rashid Khan. So essentially, depending on how things go, they could just crowd their opposition and end up controlling the game with the bowling. I think they just have the options. It's just a question of, can Bhuvi find that form? He's generally been in good form, actually, in the blue of India. And it's turned up here, and it's not quite gone according to plan. But he's the type of guy where in their opposition, he might be given a rest. In this team, he won't be. They'll just keep going with him because they know he will come good.
We also have a chance for you to make a team when you're sitting at home and watching this on your mobiles or your laptops or your TVs or your washing machines. You go to my11circle.com and download the app and pick a team. Well, there's 2 games today, so you can pick 2. The first one, you mix and match between Hyderabad and Punjab, and it's your turn to make 1 crore out of 1 every game. That's right. That's what you can do. And we, of course, are going to help you with that with our My 11 Circle Smart Picks. Here are the 3 that we think you should pick for the first games. David Warner, Shah Rukh Khan, and Rashid Khan. We talk about David Warner. He's got he loves hitting 50s against Punjab. He's got 9 in the last 10 innings against Punjab, which is why we say you should definitely pick him. He likes batting against them. He's also a captain. Remember, he's a wounded tiger, right now. He's lost 3 games in a row, and you think he'll come out with even more resolve than he usually does. So that's why we're saying pick him. Go to Rashid Khan. I don't think we need to tell you why to pick Rashid Khan. We just told you. He, as Pommie put it so nicely, he breaks the game open. That's what he does. He's definitely a guy that you should pick. he also tends to have the ball come to him a little bit. So, the chance for getting points and catches is also there with Rashid. And then who was the third player? Who did we pick the third? Shah Rukh Khan, of course. The only problem today with Shah Rukh Khan is I hope they still back him and send him a little up and don't keep him all the way for number 7 and he just plays 5 balls. But if they do decide to back him, right, even if they bat him at 6, right, and he's playing on his home ground, so maybe, something can happen there. At least he's been coming through. Remember that 47 of 36 happened in a game where they only got 110 odd, right? So he's been doing it. So he's getting it done. So that's why we're saying that you should pick him. He's look good, tall strapping lad, yes, Joy. It's good to he really whacks the ball.
He really backs the ball, and see, he gives them something which they've not had, because the last 2-3 seasons they've tried a lot of guys in that position. They've tried again. They have the same problem that Kolkata has. The guys who every year you can't depend on are actually doing it for them. So last year their problem was that Mandeep's not doing it for us. Sarfraz is not doing it for us. Nobody's doing it for us. Hey, 2 Indian batsmen are doing it for you. Deepak Hooda is doing it for you, and Shah Rukh Khan is doing it for you. So you can't, they are not your excuses anymore. That, okay, if we had that Indian batsman in the mid-order, everything would be hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Those guys are delivering. Now the rest of them have to get together and say that, this is a unit, we're going to use this unit. Okay, we make 1 or 2 changes depending on conditions, but this is the unit we're going to play and win matches with. And I want to go back. The other thing, I was just picking up on Pommie's point. Siddharth Kaul is in the team not because he's a fast bowler, but because he's a master of the slower ball in pitches that drag. Pitches like this, Siddharth Kaul is a very, very painful bowler to hit, because he's got slower ones and back of the hand and back of the head, under the hand, below the hand, kind of ball. It's what they call irritating bowling. A lot of guys in the domestic circuit, they say we hate facing Siddharth Kaul because he's such a pain. Why can't he just deliver it on length and give me something to hit, And he just wants something will come out,
Yeah, it's a good quality to have as a bowler if you can annoy the batsman, because sometimes you just blow them away with Yorkers and bounces, and for me, sometimes you just annoy them to get their wicket.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name escapes me, and I know you guys will get him straight away. Who bowled when it came to IPL? And I'm sure first class he bowled normally, and he is fine. But when it came to IPL, played for Delhi for many years and just bowled slower balls. And
you told Rajat Bhatia, who was also
there. You go.
Rajat Bhatia is my boy.
There
4 years with him.
He's a Delhi boy who played a lot for Kolkata.
Correct.
Yeah, and he was Gautam Gambhir's go-to guy, because it's famously Gautam Gambhir used to say that I would always trust Rajat Bhatia's reading off the surface.
There you go. And he would run up and he'd bowl loads and loads of slow balls. So you'd have batsmen sitting there second guess and going, he's not going to bowl 3 in a row, is he? And it must be the quicker one, and he bowled 6 in a row. And land them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He landed them properly, game after game after game. It's brilliant. Yeah,
it's innocuous. It always reminds me of what Sachin Tendulkar said about who was the toughest bowler he ever faced, and he said Hansi Cronje. He said he would just annoy me. I just couldn't figure him out. And I said, listen, I'll play Alan Donald, and you play Hansi Cronje. And since my partners would say, yeah, I'll take that deal. There's some fine print here we're missing, but I'll take that deal. Okay, no problem. Okay, well, let's have a look at Rashid Khan's numbers as well, because could you have Rashid perhaps bowl right up front, maybe the second or the third, against KL Rahul, because he has got KL Rahul's phone number on speed dial, Joy. He's got a lot of numbers actually on his speed dial, Rashid, but he's definitely got
exactly.
KL Rahul's. He's got him thrice in 30 balls. And more importantly, I think, batting first, the Achilles heel for KL Rahul has been that batting first, the strike rate has not come. Perhaps today could be the day that we see a change from that, because he's got the padding of batting up till number 8 now.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to address. You're absolutely right. I think that's what they're trying to say, that they're going to tell, it's not so much about how deep they bat. It's about telling KL Rahul, now go and play with some freedom. We've given you a lot of protection. Go and play with some freedom. Because I think if he does not score at 140 plus, it's more than just the runs he scores. It's an impact on the team. If your captain is weighed down by responsibility and can't play his natural game, the whole team is weighed down because finally at the end of the day, he's just not a player. He's the captain of the team.
Yeah. Now, if he's below 180, so here's the thing. If I was just to distill this rather large Excel sheet, it means that whenever he plays more than 40 balls, when you're playing more than 40 balls means you're playing 1/3 of the innings. It's only 120 balls. If your strike rate is below 180, your team loses the game. That's what happens here. Yeah. I mean, Joy, I know you love the numbers, but it just tells the story, right? You can't play 40 balls and have a strike rate of you can't score less than 70 in 40 balls if you're playing more than 40 balls.
Yeah, unless of course you're chasing 130 or something like that. In which case it's a different matter altogether.
This is all batting first. These are all batting first numbers that we're showing you. Sorry, Pommie, you had a point?
Yeah, I was going to say, particularly if you're an opening batsman. So if you're an opening batsman, I think that is the key. So when we look at the 51 balls he faced, right? The issue isn't so much that he faced 51 balls and struck at 120. The issue is up at the front is the best time to bat. Up at the front is there's 6 overs where you can take your pick, hit it wherever you like. There are 2 spots you're not allowed to hit it to, but hit it wherever you like. And your strike rate has to set the tone for those who will come. Later on, yes, many will say, yeah, later on you're backed into a corner, you don't really have any option. It's exactly the same up at the front. You don't have an option. You don't choose whether you will attack the first 6 or you won't. You have to attack it. And as you were saying with the batting, with the padding in terms of batting, I think that makes the point even more to him that, hold on, I can't be sitting here batting along and I end up hit a few at the back end and my strike rate ends up at 135. And then I say I've batted well because I got 70 or I got 80. That's not going to cut it, because if we're 4 down at the end of the 20 overs and I've got a strike rate of 130, then why wasn't I playing shots? What was I afraid of? Who was I protecting? Am I batting for me or am I batting for the team? That question essentially will come up at the back end if it continues in that fashion.
The same game you speak about, on the other side, Shikhar Dhawan got 92 of 49, and that's what won the game for Delhi. So when you have the conditions and you have the surface, you have to go for the jugular. Sorry, Joy.
No, I was just picking up on just that same point. Exactly in the same situation, the most expensive batsman in the opposing team bought for 11 odd crores in the auction has just been dropped today.
Yep.
Manish Pandey has been dropped because he couldn't up his run rate. Yep. Manish Pandey is sitting on the bench because he's a gun fielder. He's everything. They put a lot of faith and value in him. But I think they're sending him a message saying, you can't play the position. You can't bat at number 3 and bat at 120. I'm sorry, it's not done.
And 100%. And we I think at the start of this show many years back, we would say, do not underestimate the value of a good cameo. We'd say that. Often we'd say that. But the way the cameos worked, say 10 years ago, and that someone would go out there and slog, and we'd marvel at, oh, wow, look at this guy, he's really good. Up at the front, it's as good as down at the back end of the innings, where a guy can walk in and score 20 off 8 balls, right? 20 off 8 balls, whether you're batting at number 1 or number 8 and coming in towards the end of the innings, is the same result. You're not wasting any balls. In fact, you're utilizing the deliveries you're getting really well. So it is important that all players, as they walk in, understand that they have to stamp their authority on the game. And yes, you've got to read the conditions and all the rest, but in the first 6, the ball is new, it's hard, you have the gaps over the heads of the fielders and through them as well. Actually, you can go through the gaps and still get 4s, right? So you have to do it, and you have to ensure that you're ahead of the game then, because if you're not, then you're going to lose. It's as simple as that.
I love it how Pommie just treated us as children right now. It's like you can hit in the gaps as well, not just over the heads, right? I love it.
play cricket shots, right? Like,
No, you're this guy. You can see Bonus. Shit, somebody should have told me before. Why should I made all these things? Somebody should have told me. Even I can just hit in the gaps. What are you talking about, guys?
This also is a subtle hint to you, Joy, that sometimes you can give us simple questions on the Joy Factor section. Yeah,
I saw a nice one the other day. I tweeted you when you did it. I was like,
What
wow,
is
that's nice.
what does nice mean? What is nice is easy, or nice is a hard one that you got?
No, I mean, it was an easy one. It was all about the 90s, not 1990s. Well, I suppose it included them, but it was about 90s.
Joy's contemporary questions usually are about the 1890s. So let's see today what he's got for us.
Okay. If the first person, this is a list of just 4 people, okay, with an international record. If the first person on that list is a national spin bowling coach currently.
Mushtaq.
The second, a Pakistan fast bowler who made his international debut in 2009. And the third is from Singapore. Who's the fourth? List of just 4 people in a particularly international format in international cricket. First is a national spin bowling coach. The second is a Pakistani fast bowler who made his debut in 2009. The third is from Singapore. Which Indian is the fourth?
I'm just thinking, Pommie. I mean, this is now just Pommie and I trying to decode it. The only national spin coach I know is actually Mushtaq Ahmed, right? Yeah,
It isn't anymore, I don't think.
He isn't?
I don't think so.
Daniel Vittori, Saklain Mushtaq, there's a few.
Yeah. Jeetan Patel.
Singapore, but tell me something. Singapore is the American captain from the US captain from Singapore?
There
Or
is
the UAE captain. One of them is from Singapore, right?
Someone
Someone is from Singapore.
who played for Singapore and shifted, if my memory says.
No, I think you're thinking Hong Kong and Dominic Koch. Are you?
Am I?
No, I was thinking.
I wasn't thinking that. Actually.
There's Ali Khan as well, right? Isn't he from Singapore and then playing for UAE? No,
US, I think. Ali Khan's playing.
US. Sorry, I mean not UAE. Yeah, US.
Oh,
okay, no idea. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Send in your answers if you know them, and we will still try to crack them, and we'll perhaps come back at the end of the 10th over with Cricbuzz Combox, and maybe we'll have the answer then for you. We're still, Pommie and I are still trying. Trust me, we're still trying. Right now, of course, it's time to say bye to you. But before we do that, Cricbuzz Plus is what I want to tell you about. I hope you have signed up and subscribed to all the premium content, which is all above the noise. So if you want some premium written and video content, that's where you need to go. Score predictions, last piece of business left before we sign off. Gentlemen, Punjab batting first in
160.
160.
162.
162. The gentleman in quarantine and the gentleman at home in front of all his books.
149.
149 low ball, and I'll go 173.
Oh, it's gone very high.
I got 173 with Hyderabad to win. What do you know? Which means that it'll get done twice, not once. Twice.
I tell you what, both those are improbable.
I know.
Think about it.
It's all ideal, but listen, there's Kane Williamson today. Don't rule him out. Don't rule him out.
If they give away 170, I don't know if they're chasing that.
Kane is able. Kane is able. All right. Time for us to go. We're going to see you at the end of the 10th. Thank you so much for watching Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.